In this program, we'll use a boolean variable to help us count some cookies. So the idea is to get a bunch of cookies, although sometimes we can get double the cookies. So there's a get cookies button, and we'll have a button where we can activate Cookie Monster, and that will double our cookies. The amount of cookies we get each time we click get cookies. So the idea is we click get cookies, we're going to get some cookies on our label, and then when we activate Cookie Monster, that's going to get us even more cookies every time we press the get cookies button. So I'm heading up here to the top. We're going to need a variable to keep track of all the total cookies. Well, for Cookie Monster, they are cookies. So I'll put an extra O in there for total cookies. And we'll initialize it at 0. Then we're going to use a flag variable, a boolean variable that's going to be kind of like a flag that's up or down, or a light switch that's on or off to indicate that a situation here. For us, it's whether or not Cookie Monster has been activated. So I'm going to call this variable Cookie Monster activated, and by default, set it to false or off, or like a flag is down. And if it gets turned on, something will happen. Now we'll head down to the Get Cookies button click event, and we'll use an if-else to check our variable, but we also need to have an amount of cookies to get each time. So I'll call this cookies to add, and it's a constant value. You can use whatever you want. I'm going to have us get 3 cookies every time we click the Get Cookies button. You can make more or less if you want. And then we have to check to see if Cookie Monster has been activated or not. So that Boolean variable is either going to be true or false. So if Cookie Monster activated is equivalent to true, then we want to get double the amount of cookies every time. So I'll have total cookies plus equals cookies to add, but we're going to double that. So it'll be cookies to add times 2. I'll put some parentheses around this, even though the order of operations would take care of it, but just to emphasize what's going on. If Cookie Monster activated is true, then we're going to double the cookies we add every time. Otherwise, which means Cookie Monster has not been activated, then total cookies, or total cookies, plus equals just cookies to add, which in the scenario I have here is just 3 every time. Then we need to display the number of cookies in a label so that we know how many cookies we have. Let's see what we've got so far. Every time we click Get Cookies, it goes up by 3, which is what you expect. If you click Activate Cookie Monster, nothing really happens yet, so things are going up by 3. What we want to have happen is to change that Boolean variable from false to true so that we know that Cookie Monster has been activated. So let's go to the Cookie Monster, the button for activating Cookie Monster, and we're going to make Cookie Monster visible and a label visible that lets the users know on the screen they can tell that the Cookie Monster doubling effect has been activated. So we've got a picture box and a label that had been invisible that we'll now make visible, both of those. We'll check and make sure that really works. If I click Activate Cookie Monster, there's the picture box and that label visible, so now users know they should be getting double the cookies every time. But here's the key. We're going to take Cookie Monster activated and set it equal to true. So that turns like a light switch on, or take a flag and raises it up. So now we know that things should be doubled. So we'll get cookies, get 3 every time, but now we activate Cookie Monster, and now we should get 6 every time, and that's what's happening. Now, in this if statement, in the parentheses, we said Cookie Monster activated equivalent to true, but we can actually eliminate that equivalent to true and just say Cookie Monster activated. Visual C# will assume that means to check to see if it's true. And it reads very easily. If Cookie Monster activated, then we should get double the cookies. And there we are, getting 6 every time. We gave that variable a really good name, so as I said, it reads very easily. We don't have to use double equals true. If you leave it out on a Boolean variable, then it's going to default assume that you are trying to see if it is true. And as I said, it reads very easily. If Cookie Monster activated. Well, if it's activated, then we want to double the cookies. Here's another way we could look at this. How about if we did if Cookie Monster activated is equivalent to false? So I'll put a double equals here, which means that we should just get the regular amount of cookies every time. So total cookies plus equals cookies to add. Else, which means that the Cookie Monster stuff has been activated, now we'll have total cookies plus equals cookies to add times 2. So we've just reversed their spots. And it's working okay. Well, just as we had a shorter way to write the true by just leaving out double equals true, we can take out double equals false and put the not exclamation mark in front of this. So if not Cookie Monster activated, well, if Cookie Monster's not activated, then we don't double the cookies. So that's a short way to write double equals false for a Boolean variable. Remember that condition in the parentheses has to be true. So if it's not true, if it's false, then not false is true. If you can follow that, you might need to pause the video and think about that. But the exclamation point means not, and we can use that to help us with a false situation for Boolean variable. If we leave out double equals for true and just put the Boolean variable in there, Visual C# will assume we're checking to see that it is true.